Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my obeisances. So what are we reading today? This is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 5. The Creative Impetus, Chapter 14, Text 44. Is that right? Yes, that's correct.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So who can read the Sanskrit version today?
Hare Krishna
Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. Unfortunately, Karbhajana Prabhu will not be able to do that today. Can you please do it yourself? Yes, I will try. So text 44, 14th chapter, Canto 5. Material world is the forest of enjoyment.
Chandri pastatu chitam mahatam atuvit sevanuraktamanasam abhava vibhavу. Пословный перевод. Ях, который.
It's not the word for word translation. Yah, who? Dustyajan. Very difficult to give up. Kshiti, the earth. Suta, children. Svajana Arthadaran, relatives, riches, and a beautiful wife. Prartyam, desirable. Shriyam, the goddess of fortune. Suravaraih, by the best of the demigods. Sadaya Avalokam, whose merciful glance. Na, not. Achat, desired. Nripa, the king. Tat Uchitam, this is quite befitting him. Mahatam, of great personalities, Mahatmas. Madhudvit, of Lord Kṛṣṇa who killed the demon Madhu. Seva Anuraka, attracted by the loving service. Manasam, of those whose minds. Abhava Api, even the position of liberation. Phalgu, insignificant. So now the translation of this text.
Śukadeva
Gosvāmī continued. My dear king, the activities of Bharata Mahārāja are wonderful. He gave up everything difficult for others to give up. He gave up his kingdom, his wife, and his family. His opulence was so great that even the demigods envied it, yet he gave it up. It was quite befitting a great personality like him to be a great devotee. He could renounce everything because he was so attracted to the beauty, opulence, reputation, knowledge, strength, and renunciation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is so attractive that one can give up all desirable things for his sake. Indeed, even liberation is considered insignificant for those whose minds are attracted to the loving service of the Lord. So this is all described in the 5th canto. So we still have several cantos ahead of us that elevate our mind and feelings, senses. So this is a very unusual example. But in the 10th canto, it will be stated that there's nothing in the world that a pure devotee cannot renounce. Well, probably the most difficult thing to renounce, maybe even impossible from the material point of view. So once upon a time I was walking along the seashore. There were a lot of stones, pebbles, some seaweed. The seaweeds, they were so big actually. They were cast on the shore after the storm. You know, there were a lot of interesting things lying on the shore after the storm. And I took up one of these seaweeds and I was examining it, looking for the root. So it turned out it was actually attached to a stone. So probably the seaweeds, they were just feeding on what is actually situated in the sea, not with the root. So I was trying to detach the root of this weed from the stone, but it was impossible. It was so strong, the grip was so strong. It seems like it actually has grown through this stone. The same thing with the soul being attached to a physical body. A great example, such a force. It's like one of our disciples came up to his guru and said, "Guru Maharaj, can you deliver me from illusion, from Maya? I've come here to ask you for this." And Guru said, "Yeah, okay, just live here in my ashram. Be my student. You can build a shack in the forest." So this disciple, he spent his first night in the forest, but then the next morning, very early, Guru was asking for his disciple, like, help me, please, run over here. So the disciple has woken up, started running, and he saw his guru holding on to the tree and screaming, "Please save me." The disciple thought to himself, like, wow, that's really strange, like, what's happening to my guru? The guru said, "What are you looking at me? Why is it taking you so much time? Don't you see I'm in trouble? Save me." So his disciple got a grip on his guru and started to pull him back. And he said, "Guru Maharaj, I'm sorry, of course, but I'm trying to be tactful. But it seemed like you were holding on to the tree, but not vice versa." But his guru said, "You know, yesterday you told me the same thing. You asked me to save you from Maya. But here in this verse it is described. I mean, this situation is described. It's the mind. We think that our mind is always right. I mean, it's okay when you really appreciate your relatives, but you have to always be close to Kṛṣṇa. It's just the point is that we don't remember anything. We've forgotten everything, and we will forget this life as well. Nothing will be left. And it doesn't matter if there is incarnation or there isn't. It doesn't matter. If you do not believe in reincarnation, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen anyways. But the point is that it's better for you to understand the existence, to accept the existence of a soul. Everyone wants to be attached to something. That's our nature. There has to be love. But this love in the material world, it brings so much pain. Anything can happen to us in this material world. A lot of disasters and accidents. And it is said that in this world, people, they get separated so easily. Material existence is like an ocean. There are no limits. We wander in so different places. Sometimes these haze trays floating into the ocean, they can meet, they can get attached to each other. And then another wave comes in and these haze trays, they get detached again, just like an escalator. You're going somewhere to your work, you step on this escalator, you see there's someone else standing next to you. You know, when people are moving, we don't even pay attention to whom you're standing next to. But once you stand still, you feel some discomfort. The person standing next to you, he might be pushing you. But then 2 minutes later, you just get off the escalator, you continue going to your work. And in the material world, women and men, they have different desires. Our children and parents, we all have different desires. All people that we consider to be our relatives, they all have different desires. That's why this world looks very chaotic. See, we can see these video shootages of big cities in slow-mo. It seems to be like a chaos, but you ask anyone and he knows for sure where he's going. Because every one of us has a purpose. We are going somewhere, but globally it looks like a chaos. But sometimes if we think that we will die altogether the same minute, you know, it actually pacifies us. We all think that we will die the same moment, the same minute. See, parents, they usually ask to astrologers, like, how long will my child live? The astrologers may say, he will outlive you definitely, and the parents are like, oh, okay, that's good. They feel relieved. So we all have some purposes, tasks to do in this life. So if something happens in Africa, someone has died, it doesn't bother us. You know, it's a normal thing that people are dying in Africa. See, it doesn't bother us at all. We think everybody dies. They're born, they die. Nothing special. The society keeps existing. And there are some dying kinds of people, types of people on this planet. I saw them. They're just dying, and they're going to cease to exist in the future. Some kinds of living entities, they mix up, they produce something new. There's no strict order anymore, or traditions like dynasties in the past would chase. It's all in the past. Everything is mixed up right now. All these values in Kali Yuga, they decline. All these family traditions, spiritual traditions and values, only sexual attraction stays. That's why marriage in the age of Kali is just a fantasy. It does not exist anymore. Only the sexual attraction exists. And based on this, people are trying to create something valuable, but it's impossible. So we are not able to satisfy the souls of our relatives. And this energy is so deceitful. So bhava means love. So what I live with. But midhunya means the attraction to the opposite gender. So it's called midhunya bhava. And it's getting more and more power these days. We see it. At least based on my experience. I don't know your experience. You're younger than me, but our culture, nowadays culture is so different from the previous culture. There's like a huge gap between us. And we see it influences the intellect of people, the health, the relationships, personalities. They've become less, they become more prone to stress. They always worry about something. Shastras say that once lust pierces your intelligence, you become weak. You become unhappy. If your lust is in your intelligence, it's not like you start looking sick or something. Your body temperature should be 36.6 degrees Celsius, but if it's 40, of course, there's a problem. So nowadays, people, they virtually do not think about anything else. They go to some psychologists, counselors. So there was a test, like an experiment. So they've tested a lot of men that are professionals in their spheres. There was a math teacher, software developer, and ordinary laborer. So there were some sensors on the bodies, and they were checking the rhythms, the vibrations. When the mind was agitated, or even sleeping, there was a diagram. Okay, here we see a person thinking about something. He's agitated, then he does something. And it has turned out that every 90 seconds or 2 minutes, some new thoughts came up to existence. It's almost impossible to meditate. People can never feel another state of the mind. Every 1.5 or 2 minutes, something comes up on the surface, some thoughts. If a man walking down the street, he sees a lot of men and women, a lot of them surrounding him. So this culture right now is just like an infection. So the mind cannot be thinking about anything else this moment, because the person is surrounded by other people, other women and men. So this axis is midhunya bhava. And it's very difficult for him to get rid of these thoughts. So there are a lot of things in that world right in front of our eyes that we cannot see. Facts. We need acharya to explain us these facts, not the theory, not the philosophy, but facts. Reincarnation is a fact, but we cannot see it with the help of our eyes. A soul is a fact, but a person cannot see it. Even the symptoms are not seen to us. Birth and death, they're facts. You know, people do not remember about it. Midhunya bhava. And many more things. If we read Shastras, so many things are described here. It's like, oh, of course, I've always seen these things, but I keep forgetting about it. Types of people, the structure of the society. the construction of this world. So this is not Midhunya Bhava anymore. The world has been created not by a person, not by a human, but Midhunya Bhava says that a person creates everything. We see cities, beautiful cars, telephones, computers, everything around us, and we admire all these things. You understand? Wow, this is Midhunya Bhava. We feel so proud of it. This is how our mind works. But when we look at all this external world, we do not admire the Creator. You know, this is too far. We don't feel anything about the Creator. We don't know Him. If you see this building, we see it's been created wisely, constructively wisely. But if I tell you, matter of fact, no one has built this building. It has happened accidentally. It's wonderful then. So there's a chandelier here. You turn it on, and it gives you the illumination. And I can just tell, it's happened accidentally. We had no money. What if I tell you this? Of course you'll be laughing. But when you're sad that a cosmic manifestation has appeared, we don't believe it. Because it's more difficult than understanding this small building with the chandelier. Because our mind is in Midhunya Bhava. I can only admire a human, but I'm not able to admire something above it. I don't feel it. This is called Midhunya. And the real Bhava is called Sthāyi Bhava. So another perception of the world starts here, and the next step will be the relationships with God. It means that you've been already reincarnated and there's no Midhunya Bhava anymore. You see everything with the same eyes, with the same ears, but you already see it and hear it. Doesn't matter what we see in front of our eyes. What matters is that what we choose. Any man that is in this condition, that is already an adult, he sees so many women around. But the mind, when it's agitated, it acts differently. Same thing women. The only thing women think of is, walking just like this, showing their swagger. The women feel like, wow, everyone's looking at me. They feel proud. So we used to live in a place where the cult of clothing was very strong. It was in the Far East. The cult of clothing was very strong. So even if a lady wanted to buy some bread across the street, she would apply a makeup for the whole hour. So parents would say, how can you do that? Like, you just need to buy some bread. And the lady would say, I can't go like that. No makeup. People would buy jeans for the amount of money that was equal to the monthly salary. So now we all need to buy all these new cars, new models. It's a crazy world. Insanity. So it's a progress from like a chariot to a car. But of course, we don't want to be riding chariots anymore. But we all want to use cars. You don't want to use cards anymore, but cars. You don't want to suffer in a car? Suffer in a car. You know, you will never escape the sufferings. When people hear that, they do understand it, but they forget about it instantly. How does that happen? Seems to be a very important thing, but we cannot realize it fully. It's like that seaweed attached to a stone so strongly. So it's right about us. Same thing. We're so attached to our bodies. So the root power is really strong. It can drag all your family out to the surface, up to the 14 generations. If you become a pure devotee, then your family up to the 14 generations will be saved, will be delivered. It depends, of course, on your level. But it says that if you've become a sane person in your family, and you will provide your family with the right direction for so many generations, your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, they will benefit of it as well. So don't forget about it. So that's how it works. That's how this relics works. So your family will benefit, will greatly benefit if you become a saint person. So if you at least start chanting japa, it is already a revolution in your consciousness. Well, of course you have to go through it. I mean, you have to sustain this pressure. Some people succeed, of course. So once my wife and I, we went to Far East. It was somewhere in the 80s. Even before I was initiated, in the 80s. So we went to the Far East to visit relatives. And some senior Vaishnavas, they have learned about it. Our leaders, they were in prisons back then. It was a dangerous time. So we were printing books, not legally. It was all illegal. So we were using state printers, of course, illegally. So then I wanted to go to the Far East during my vacation. So I had a month of my vacation, and then it would take me just 1 week by train to get there, and then 1 week back, so 2 weeks, just for the road, just for the trip. So I said to other devotees that I'm going there to the Far East, and they've asked me, how many books are you going to take with you to spread? And actually, back then, there was no one in there, no devotees. And they told me that you have to spread 1 Bhagavad Gita a day. If you spread 1 Bhagavad Gita a day, this is like a Superman. So I was young back then, of course. I said 30 Bhagavad Gitas. Then I thought to myself, oh my God, what am I doing? How am I supposed to spread all these books? So my internal Superman has one so senior devotees that looked at me and said, oh, okay, that's a good set of mind. So they've given me all these books. So we were going to Vladivostok. So we were fasting all road. There was nothing to eat actually in there in the train. We were just drinking water. And we've eaten just a few tomatoes, and that's it. There was a station called Ussurisk, And then it would take us 3 more hours to Vladivostok. So my wife looked at me and she said, "You want to go here? Let's visit our parents. They have sauna. Let's cook some prasadam. And then we go to Vladivostok. Let's have some rest at our parents' place." So we took off earlier. So they were so happy to see us. They were living in a private house, fresh vegetables on the plantation, in the garden. So we cooked everything. They already felt something different. So we were purifying all the dishware on the fire. So our parents, they started looking at us strangely, like cautiously, but we were cooking everything. Then our parents, they turned on TV and said, okay, let's watch the TV. No problem. So they started the sauna. And then we saw our pictures, mine and my wife's, on TV. So they were saying that we are very dangerous people, spreading some illegal literature. And then it was so quiet, like we had this quiet moment. And actually someone was already waiting for us in Vladivostok to capture us. So our parents, they were shocked, of course. So even if we don't see anything, Krishna told us, get off at Ussurisk. So of course our parents, they couldn't sleep. Father, he was really scared because he has lived through Stalin's years as well. He knew that we could go to prison. So Gaurachandrika, my wife, she was fighting with them all night. She even spanked someone. And they decided to, give us up. They decided to give us up. So then I woke up before 5 o'clock in the morning. It was all quiet in the morning. I took my backpack. I put on my hood. And I took an electrical train because I needed to spread 30 books. Thought to myself, wow, I'm in trouble. And I still have to spread these books. And then in electrical train I started talking to some person. I was suggesting him the books. He said, well, I don't have money right now. And I said, maybe in Vladivostok? Then I saw this person. The next day he was jogging. So he saw me in the morning. And his wife, actually, she bought one of the books. Then I went to people that I used to study with, and to some of my teachers. Some teachers, they bought my books. So people didn't know anything. So I told them about the astral body, about my living my physical body, my experience of living my physical body. There was a scholar there. He said, it's either some insanity or this is the end of all the science. So if everything you're saying is true, it's either it's insanity, he said again. But I've already told him that a soul and the body, these are different things. And then my wife came up, And we spread some books, and there were still 11 books left. So we didn't want to bring them back. So I'm just praying to Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa, what am I to do? How to spread these books? So we spread some of them, but there were still left some. So we stayed at some place, and we got a call. So they called us families. So the voice said that I am in the yoga club and we need Bhagavad Gita. They said, how many books do you have? I said 11. How many do you need? They said 11. That's amazing. Then I came back to St. Petersburg and I said, I've spread all the 30 books. So they said I was the real hero. So they wrote me down in some list. And I was like a hero. I was so proud of it. Until my record was broken. Someone came out to the streets in St. Petersburg and they've spread more. Then devotees started spreading 50, 60 books a day. So you just open up your bag and people would catch the books immediately. When we were organizing programs, we were given the best halls of St. Petersburg back then. 300, 400, 500 people. Any hall that we would desire. Every week we would organize programs, huge kirtanas, lectures, a lot of discussions. People after atheism, everything was so unusual. They would have so many questions. That was very interesting. One woman, she would come up there to specifically get me mad or get me off balance. She would do it on purpose, every lecture. But the next time I saw her, she was actually chanting japa. So even here, sometimes people come up to me chanting japa and asking like, please tell me the truth. It's not sect, right? But thanks to kirtanas, it usually happens thanks to kirtanas. So many people come. So kirtanas, they motivate bhava, spiritual bhava. People, they just start transferring. So if midhunya bhava is very strong, it's difficult to do anything with him. Just give him prasadam. Just give him a little bit of prasadam, and he starts changing. You'll be surprised, but even if we get just a lot of piousness of sattva guna, we add up at least a few percent of this sattva to our lives will be radically changed. Right now we have just probably a couple of percent of bhava. It's really good. Of course, it's nothing compared to 100. In Satya Yuga, there was 100% of sattva, but today in Kali Yuga, so maybe 1% of piousness exists in Kali Yuga. Devotees, they might have 2 or 3%. So we still have some intelligence. We at least start understanding some things. Other people don't feel anything. They keep eating meat, drinking alcohol, fighting. So devotees at least, they already feel that there's something that they're doing wrong. But when then the mode of goodness rises up, you start feeling that you can actually change everything. I am capable of it, we think. We have 5% of the mode of goodness, you'll be stable. You'll be saying things that people will listen to you. I'm not even talking about 10 or 50%.
очень высокий уровень
But
самости.
inside, you can develop
Возможно, при помощи
a very high level of goodness. All this is possible thanks to the Hare Krishna consciousness.
практикой деятельности,
And when you
можете менять мир.
when you are engaged in activity, not
Вы
just
будете неуязвимы.
through activity, you'll be invulnerable.
На эти низшие энергии будете неуязвимы. Когда уже будете
You'll be invulnerable to the lower
Сначала
energies.
практика, потом она переходит в деятельность.
First practice, and then it transfers to activity.
В этом стихе подтверждается, что
So this
Кришна
verse confirms
степени
Krishna's all attractiveness.
Махараджу Бхарату так влекло к Кришне, что
Maharaja Bharata
отказался
was
от всех
so attracted to Krishna that he gave up all his material
материалисты обычно ни за что не
possessions.
хотят расставаться со своей собственностью.
Generally, materialistic people are attracted by such
Сто
possessions.
грехах шитрасу тапта витайр. Джанастя могаям ахам маметти. Цитата. Развивая привязанность к своему
So one
телу,
becomes
дому,
attracted to his body, home property, children,
книгам,
relatives,
тем
and wealth.
оказывается во власти иллюзорных
In this way, one
понятий. Я,
increases life's
Бхагавата,
illusions
Бхагавата,
and thinks in terms of I and me, I and
Гриха,
mine.
дом, кшетра,
Griha means
сута,
home,
дети, апта,
Sutta means children,
деньги,
Apta means
половые
money,
связи, по-моему, да.
Vita,
Вот
sexual
эти все вещи
connections.
человеку.
All these people,
Ему нужен транспорт, ему нужен дом,
they
жена,
attract people.
дети, связи.
So in house, wife, children,
Вот эти
connections,
вещи,
valuable papers.
я и мое называется, концепция.
So this is called I and mine. That's the conception that we support. The attraction for material things is certainly due to illusion. There's no value in attraction to material things, for the conditioned soul is diverted by them. So I think we have to explain what it is said here. If you detach from things, it doesn't mean that you get rid of these things. So do not mix these things up, or you'll do some silly things. We're not renouncing anything, we're not just attracted to them. You see, the chair that I'm sitting in right now, it's not spiritual, it's material. The book is made out of paper. It's a material thing, right? We don't have to renounce it. Or the table lamp, these are all material things. So we are renouncing the attachment to these things, of the concept of I and mine. Please don't mix these things up. Because in the beginning we were all confusing these things. Some one of devotees, he threw out his TV set out of his window. Well, understand, probably we all should do that. But also there were no sofas, furniture, nothing in his apartment like that. So he would just put a yoga mat on the floor. He would sleep like that. We were so happy, really. I'm telling the truth. But then acharyas, they would tell us that one of the senior Vaishnavas told me that when he saw the way Vaishnavas, devotees were living in temples, they weren't just following all these standards of cleanliness. There were too many people in ashrams. There were no furniture. There was no furniture. They would just throw their clothing on the floor. This acharya said that senior devotee, he said, Chaitanya Chancharan, you see, I'm a sannyasi, I'm a renounced person. But I think that you have to at least have a wardrobe in your place to put your clothing there. And I said, a wardrobe? Okay. Maybe it's a good idea. It's important to understand how to engage all these things in Krishna's consciousness, not just to renounce them and lead a primitive lifestyle, and having not an organized, not arranged lifestyle. So if you connect organization with sattva guna, this will be a and active
Если же вы страсть, организацию свяжете с тамасом, будет
Biasness.
активное разрушение.
But if you connect organization with tamas, this will be a
Без страсти вы не
destruction.
можете жить, вы должны действовать.
You can't live without passion, you have to act.
Действуй,
Remember, Kṛṣṇa said to Arjuna,
но ты действуй.
fight.
Но для чего? Для высшей
You have
цели.
to be in passion, but for the high purpose.
Это будет полезная деятельность. называется.
So this will be useful activity.
Мы должны хорошо одеваться, красиво,
So we have to dress ourselves accordingly.
не привязываться.
But why? We have to remember why. Not for other people to faint when they see me because I'm so handsome, beautiful.
Общаться с людьми приятно. и
No, just to have this pleasant communication with people and tell them
большая путь.
about Krishna's consciousness.
Это отдельный разговор об одежде. Что она вообще означает?
That's like an individual
Люди одеваются по-разному.
talk about the way we dress ourselves.
Замужние одеваются по-разному.
No, people, they dress themselves differently this time.
Есть своя культура, свои тонкости. И
There's like a whole culture,
тоже это есть.
all these hairstyles
Каких разных
and other things.
правильно делать.
These things are all
Влияет на наши чувства.
described because everything influences our
Но они знают
senses, especially the opposite gender.
эту культуру, эти отношения направить, возвысить.
So we have to know how to elevate these relationships with help of clothes, communication, marriage, activity.
Возвысить эти отношения.
Everything should be directed to elevate these relationships.
Брак это один из обычных способов.
So marriage is one of these powerful methods. Marriage means
Ограничивают отношения с противоположным полом.
restriction
Вы не
of
можете
relationships with the opposite gender. You cannot communicate closely with anyone else except your
обычное средство.
wife.
Контролями этого не вправо.
You have to control your
Только в
senses.
браке позволяется эти интимные
And all
отношения.
in marriage, you're allowed to have intimate relationships.
Устанавливается порядок. Для того, чтобы это соблюсти, тогда нужны
To
соответствующие
follow
одежды и поведение.
these rules, you have to
Иначе, если
dress yourself accordingly.
брак будет колебаться, умы будут
If
колебаться.
you don't have
Мужчина, даже женатый, будет смотреть на других женщин.
these things in your marriage, a husband will be looking at unmarried women,
Возбуждение.
and he will be seeing an object of lust in them, not a spiritual object.
Должна быть одежда и поведение соответствующее.
If you want to see spiritual objects in them, you have to dress yourself accordingly and behave accordingly.
Когда-то было
So
паранджай,
this used to be an old culture. Now, of course, it's outdated.
крайность. Это недостаток тоже духовного знания, силы.
So it's also lack of a spiritual
Сегодня никто не согласится.
knowledge
Хотя где-то до сих пор.
these days. In Paranjā, for example, some women, they still wear paranjas, right?
Паранджу просто, чтобы повесить и показать. Носить. Как сувенир.
Maybe this is too much for present women. But if you wear paranjā, you have to be in according consciousness.
Ум нужно очистить. Вот какая вещь. Помните, сидят,
You have to first purify your mind.
да, ровно 4 обезьяны рядышком.
An example of 4 monkeys sitting next to each other and talking to each other.
И одна обезьяна говорит, все проблемы в том,
One says,
что мы смотрим не туда, куда
the
надо.
problem is that
Никуда не смотреть.
we are looking in the wrong direction. We should close our
Она
eyes.
закрыла глаза.
And it closed its
Другая
eyes
обезьяна говорит, нет.
with a
Слышим не то,
palm.
что надо.
The other one said, no, that's about hearing. Let's close our
Я
ears.
сказал, это еще...
The third said,
Главное, мы болтаем всякую ерунду.
no, the point is that we talk too much. It closed her mouth, its
А
mouth.
четвертая свободно сидит.
And the fourth one said, she said,
Это написано в шастре.
it's the most important thing not to think
Эти вещи могут
incorrectly.
одежда, но если ум не контролирует, ничего не
If your mind is not controlled,
будет. Это делать скрытно, в
you
тайне.
cannot achieve anything.
Постоянно. Грех весь в тайне хотят совершать.
Everything will be in secret, all the sins committed.
Любой человек немножко духовно развитый понимает, о чем
Any person,
думает люди.
even if he's a little spiritually developed already,
Ребенок побежал.
he understands what's going on.
Никуда. Понятно, куда. Что ты спрашиваешь?
Even parents, when they ask
А
the
где так поздно?
child, like, where are you
Просто
going?
гулял. Ничего такого не было. Нет.
The child will say, nowhere.
Да все понятно.
And when a child comes back home late, like, where were you?
С кем и всё.
What were you doing? He would say, no, we're just hanging out with my friends.
Поэтому нет ничего тайного, что не будет явно, говорится. Всё.
You know, there are not secret things that will not be obvious.
Если мы
Everything is
развиваем
obvious.
свой разум необходимый,
If we develop this
более высокий разум,
necessary intelligence,
конечно, мы начинаем видеть, куда люди
of course we start seeing where people are going.
как в Калькутте
Just like in Calcutta, like 100 years ago, Prabhupada is describing this. There was a lonely woman. She was walking down the street, and a smoking person. And all sadhus, they've realized where the world was going to. You take a pot of rice and cook it. How do you understand it? You just take one piece of rice and you understand, okay, this is all ready, this is all prepared. Once we have conditions for weeds to grow, they start growing. But these conditions these days are just perfect for spreading the sin. So we have to create a society to protect ourselves from degradation. It all starts out with the attachment. Body, home, property, children, relatives, wealth. Everything is described here. If you want to lord it over, we become criminals. Even my money, it doesn't believe to me. For example, Guru is not supposed to be looking at his disciples as at the property. These are all individual souls that just need some help, some education. But they do not belong to the Guru, they only belong to God. Same thing with money, house, children, wife, they all belong to God. That's why I'm in charge of all these things. Not just because they provide my life when I get old. So when you get old, sometimes people they start thinking like, when are you gonna die? Like, we're so tired of you, sick and tired. It happens. It's all about ahankara, the sense of possessing something. We have to understand that my body does not belong to me. In the material world, a person belongs to someone who is feeding him. Every living entity's body is a food for someone else. Mosquitoes eat us, for example. When we leave this body will just become food for someone else. It's not mine. You see, I just use this body. Shastras, they open up our eyes. Yeah, it's not a very pleasant topic, right? So, there's no value in attraction to material things, for the conditioned soul is devoted by them. One's life is successful if he is absorbed in the attraction of Kṛṣṇa, strength, beauty, and pastimes, as described in the 10th Canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. The Mayavadis are attracted to merging into the existence of the Lord, but Kṛṣṇa is more attractive than the desire to merge. The word abhava means not to take birth again in this material world. Bhava also means birth. Abhava means not being born. A devotee does not care whether he's going to be reborn or not. He's simply satisfied with the Lord's service in any condition. That is real mukti. One who acts to serve Kṛṣṇa with his body, mind, intelligence, and words is a liberated person, even within this material world. A person who always desires to serve Kṛṣṇa is interested in ways to convince people that there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Kṛṣṇa. That is his ambition. It does not matter whether he is in heaven or in hell. This is called Uttama Shloka Lalasa. Lalasa means determination.
решимость говорить
Determination
о самых высших ценностях.
to speak about the highest values.
Мы прочитали комментарий,
So we've read this purport
стих из
and the
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 14 главы.
verse
Материальный мир как лес
from the
наслаждения.
Canto 5,
Прочитаю еще раз перевод.
chapter
текста.
14,
Śukadeva
chapter
Gosvāmī
44.
продолжал, «О царь,
So let's read the
Бхарата Mahārāja Bharata воистину удивительный.
text once again.
Он не колеблясь оставил
Shukadeva Gosvāmī
всё,
continued, My dear king, the
трудно
activities of Bharata Mahārāja are wonderful.
жену
He gave up everything difficult for others to give up.
Bharata был
He gave up his kingdom, his wife, and his family.
даже полубог
His opulence was so great that even the demigods envied it,
своих богатств.
yet he gave it up.
Как и подобает такой
It was
возвышенной
quite
душе,
befitting a
Bharata
great
был
personality like him
преданным.
to be a great
Он
devotee.
все мирские блага
He could renounce everything because he was so attracted to the beauty, opulence, reputation, knowledge, strength, and renunciation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa.
Кришна так привлекает
Krishna is so attractive
него. Человек может
that
отказаться
one can give up all desirable
от обитателей.
things for his sake.
Даже освобождение теряет
Indeed, even
всякую
liberation is considered insignificant for those whose minds are attracted to the love and service of the Lord.
Пожалуйста, дорогие преданные, можно
So now, dear devotees,
дополнение,
ask any questions or add something
эфир.
if you want.
Харе Кришна, спасибо большое.
Hare Krishna, thank
Дорогие
you so
зрители
much.
YouTube, пожалуйста, направляйте вопросы
So,
через
dear
сайт
viewers on YouTube,
www.radiо.info.
please
Ссылка
send
в
your
описании под
questions
видео.
to
Зрители в Zoom,
ajavaradya.org.
пожалуйста, нажимайте кнопку поднять
For
руку
those
для
in
ваших
Zoom,
вопросов.
please raise your
Благодарю вас.
hands and ask your questions. Thank you.
Раджамани Прабhu, пожалуйста.
Varjamani Prabhu.
Харе Кришна, читание Чанда Чарам.
Hare Krishna, Chitan Chanchram Prabhu.
Пожалуйста.
Please accept my obeisances, all devotees.
У меня вопрос.
So I have a
Иногда
question.
он прям очень сильно возмущает меня.
Sometimes it really agitates my mind.
Вы сегодня в лекции упомянули
So today you've mentioned in a lecture about bhakti and Sankirtana Yagya and soul and culture
и о применении вещей
and about
реальных правильно в духовной жизни. Привели пример с 4
application
обезьянами.
of things in that real life and example of 4 monkeys.
Классно.
Everything is so really
То есть
so
вы учли
attractive.
все моменты,
So you've
все то, что должен преданный учитывать.
taken into consideration all the details that a devotee should
Что меня
consider.
возмущает, вы
And
учли также гуну благости, да, и что
we've
меня
also
возмущает, когда
Consider
я
the mode of
говорю
goodness.
об этих подобных вещах.
Something
или
that
кто-то
really
еще,
sometimes
то
irritates me or
какое-то
agitates me.
противостояние происходит. Когда вы говорите
When I
об
say about
этом,
these things,
то
people, they do not
это
believe me, they
спокойно
contradict me.
воспринимается.
When you say about it, everyone
Вот.
receives it
Хотя,
really
допустим, я вижу по примеру моего гуру
like
Махараджа,
normally.
вот как началась
So, by example of
пандемия,
my Guru Maharaj, when the
он говорит о
pandemic
Вайкунтхе,
broke out,
о
he
Прабхупаде.
talks about Vaikuntha and Prabhupada.
Почти редко можно услышать, что-то
He
похожее, что вы
almost
сегодня сказали.
never speaks about things that you've said today.
И у меня вопрос, почему так?
So I have a question, why
Почему
does it
так?
happen?
Хотя вот вы духовный учитель,
Хотя you are a
вы
spiritual
учитываете многие
master, you
вещи,
consider so many things,
хотя в принципе,
but in
вы
principle,
можете говорить намного выше.
you can be talking a
По
lot
примеру моего гуру
higher.
Махараджа, я уверен в том, что вы можете намного выше
And I'm
аспекты
sure
говорить.
that you can
Но
give
вы
a lot higher
учитываете, вот
aspects.
эти все вещи, то, что вы
But
сегодня
you
сказали.
consider
Хотя на
these
самом деле
probably
эти
more
вещи
mundane
должны
things
учитывать,
that you've said
такие
today.
вот, как я, да,
But
что
probably
мы как бы вот
people
следующее
like me
поколение за вами, и мы еще
should
пока
consider
в
these
беге,
things because
в
we are
работе, и мы
lower
должны это
than
все
you.
учитывать. Но
We
когда я
probably are
говорю,
supposed to consider these
или
things.
еще
But
кто-то
when I
подобный
say about these
преданный,
things,
просто
some similar
где-то не
devotees,
до споров доходит, что
you know,
это
people
бред,
start
что
arguing
это
with me.
еще что-то
They
надо
start saying
бхакти.
like, this is not
Когда
correct,
вы
you have to give us
говорите,
bhakti.
все нормально.
When you say these things,
Почему
everything
так?
flows perfectly. Why does it
Сейчас я
happen?
тебе
Was
раскрою
it so?
один
So let me give you
один момент, раскрою для тебя специально.
one detail specifically for you.
Сейчас, когда я здесь сижу, да,
So now when
я
I'm sitting here, I'm not alone here.
вот в этой аудитории, где я сейчас нахожусь,
In this
здесь целая
auditorium,
группа
in this room, there's like a group, there's a group of devotees, and people
к нам на
have
программу
come
из
here
разных городов
to visit this program from different cities
И
of
они многие только начинающие,
Kazakhstan.
которые первый раз сюда приехали.
Some of them, they've just come
Я
here
вот
for the
для
first
этой
time.
аудитории говорю, сейчас объяснял этот текст.
And I was talking
Я об
with
этом
this
не говорил.
group of people today. That's why I wasn't talking about Vaikuntha.
Вот это вот обстоятельства, в которых сейчас я находился. Вы, наверное,
So these are
почувствовали,
the
да?
conditions that I
Сегодня лекция
was in
отличается
today.
от
Well,
обычных
today's
классов.
lecture, you see, it's a bit different from normal class of Bhagavatam.
А здесь, конечно, мне нужно дать
But
какой-то
here, of
обзор
course,
обязательно.
I have to
Вот одну
give
тему
some
рассмотреть.
review, not just
Преданные
one topic.
понимают, подразумевают,
The
да?
devotees already understand.
То есть люди еще входят вот в
You
это
know,
знание,
people are just entering this knowledge.
несколько
They're
обзоров
just the
можно
starters.
говорить.
So that's why I was just reviewing some things,
Другими вещами какие-то истории я еще повторил для них, которые не, может быть, не
some
знают.
stories I've repeated, but you've already heard all these
Для вас
stories,
нужно
right?
было дать бы другую лекцию, по идее.
So I probably should have given another lecture to you, devotees, but I have
И
another.
кроме этого,
auditorium
когда я говорю
today.
с людьми новыми, моя задача не
Hearers are
обеспокоить
different. And when I talk to new people,
Очень важно, да?
my purpose is not to disturb the minds. I don't want to disturb them.
Вдохновить,
I
объяснить,
need
как
to inspire
в
them.
таком ракурсе. И вот у меня вот этот опыт, он говорит,
So that's why I have this
опыт у меня
experience.
большой именно
I have a vast experience in preaching to like ordinary people, to usual people.
Вот. И это большой опыт многолетний.
So that's a
И я вот стараюсь как бы учитывать
vast
природу людей.
experience that helps me to
Видимо, поэтому как
take into account the nature of people. That's why it flows
без
probably
давления
so
пытаюсь это делать,
like
как
perfectly, so smoothly, because I
оставляя право.
don't want to push anyone. I leave the choice to everyone,
Но это опыт.
and I'm trying to be respectful. This is just my experience.
Вот. Но вот чтобы сказать, скажем, нашим преданным, вот просто, которые уже давно практикуют,
But what can I
давно пора
tell
покончить с Митхуни
to our
Бхавой,
devotees? You have to finish with Midhunya Bhava, my dear,
с этим, ну, разобраться
my
серьезно.
dear ones.
Вот
You have to
туда
deal with it. You have to look there.
марафон, идите на марафон,
So
пожалуйста, без
marathon,
разговоров.
go out
Не
there.
надо ждать, кто меня вдохновит. мне
Don't
будет
wait for anyone else until you are inspired. Just take books and go
Вы
there.
уже не маленькие дети, поймите. Вот
You're not
позиция, не
little
надо.
kids anymore.
Тут нужно прямо говорить. Если
You
вы на
just,
самом деле серьезны, если вы
if you're
серьезно
serious,
понимаете движение Прабхупады,
if you take Prabhupada's
если вы
movement
ответственно
seriously,
берете за эту миссию,
if you take
то вы
responsibility for this mission, why are you sitting
вы не
there?
можете, вдохновляйте других, все равно проявляйте
So if you
активность,
can't inspire the
способствуйте
others,
тому, чтобы знания
be
распространялись,
active
будьте хорошим примером.
and spread the books. Be a good example.
Вайкунтха Лока. Она не так уж далеко.
Vaikuntha Loka is not so far.
Вопрос, хотим ли мы туда?
The question is whether
Мы
we
тратим
want
свое
to
время,
go there. Where do we,
работаем,
how do we waste our
много думаем
time?
о семье чересчур,
Think about our families
спокойной
too
личной
much.
жизнью.
We are
Зачем это
disturbed
делать?
with our
Зачем
personal
это?
life so
Очень
much.
давно сознание Кришны.
Why do we all
Возвращаться
need
снова
these
к этой
things?
ерунде, к этой иллюзии.
I mean, the senior devotees.
Освободите разум,
Why do we get
живите,
back to
живите
this
разум,
illusion?
да,
Free
свой,
your
свой.
intelligence.
Это для старых
Live
преданных
normal
важно
lives.
знать, важно слышать.
This is very important to hear and know for the senior devotees. Do not give up to Maya. Again,
Читайте книги,
read
распространяйте
the books,
знания, не
spread the
делайте
knowledge.
этого, пожалуйста.
Don't just sit
Не
there
думайте, что
idle.
просто занимаясь семейными делами, вы продвигаетесь духовно.
Don't think
Не
that
совсем так.
when you're engaged in
Недостаточно
your
этого.
family business, you are developing. No, it's not
Это
so.
для этой аудитории я могу что-то
You're
сказать.
not developing.
Это преданные примут нормально, никто не будет говорить нет, вы что-то не поговорите.
So you see, I can tell these things to this auditorium today.
Вы понимаете, о чем мы говорим. Семья важна, конечно же.
So people, of course, understand that family is
Ради
important.
чего жить стоит.
But we also need to understand why or what we have to live for.
Ну, пока нет Карабаджана, если можно воспользоваться вторым вопросом.
So we don't have Bhajana Prabhu today, so I'm taking advantage of asking another
С
question.
вами ездил преданный 90-х Джапа Прабhu.
So there was a devotee, Japa
Вы
Prabhu.
можете рассказать о нем, как
Can
он
you
сейчас?
tell anything about this devotee?
Прабху, я видел его.
I saw him.
Это была последняя поездка в Майяпур.
Probably was the last our
Последняя
trip
или
to
первая,
Mayapur.
не помню. Кажется, все-таки последняя была
I think
поездка.
this was our last
И он
visit
там был.
to Mayapur. He was there,
Мы общались каждый день.
so we would communicate with him every day.
То есть я его помню, конечно.
We would eat prasadam today.
Уважаю.
He's a devotee.
Я
I
про него
still love him very
рассказывал
much,
несколько
and
раз.
sometimes I've told you about him
Преданный.
during my lectures. So he's been to prison for Krishna's
И
consciousness.
какой это был преданный, удивительный.
He was a
Он в
very
порядке,
amazing
его
devotee.
сознание Кришны.
So he's doing well.
Сейчас
He's in
не-
Krishna's consciousness.
Не в Исконе, а в
He's
Гауди-матхе
he's not in ISKCON.
1998 года.
He's Gaudiya Mathi after 1998.
Но он такой же хороший, как я его помню.
But he's still good. He's still a good person.
Он на редкость человек не конфликтный.
I remember
На
him.
редкость.
He is not a conflict type person at all. He's a rare example of this person. He always tries to escape conflict. Even if there's a conflict, he never offends anyone. He's a very humble person. He's very active. And his peculiarity is that he knows almost all the devotees in Russia, all the senior devotees in Russia. So that's probably his sense of life. He knows how everyone is acting, what everyone is doing. All those senior devotees, they're so amazing. So he's doing well.
Вопрос из YouTube.
So questions from YouTube.
Вамшанат Прабhu. Как, практикуя непривязанность, не стать равнодушным к окружающим
So when we
существам и
practice
миру в целом?
renunciation, what am I to do to not be detached from this external world for too much? So it's like, if it's not mine, so I have nothing to do with it. So if it does not belong to me, I have nothing to do with it. I'm not taking responsibility for that. Well, Srila Prabhupada, when he came to the Western world, he came to spread the knowledge. So he's accepted these people as his family, with full responsibility. These were hippies, remember, young hippies. So he accepted them as his own children. So he cared about all of them. He told them about his culture, about Bhagavad Gita. He would organize kirtanas and prasadam. He would teach them all the details of mundane life. Even when they were painting pictures, he would help him with everything. Playing on mridangas, all these musical instruments, how do you communicate with high officials, everything, all these things. So he would pass all this knowledge to that. So he was just bombarding his their ignorance to purify them. So he's put a lot of effort. He said that you spend 3 liters of blood in order to convert one person into a devotee. But if you do not take these things seriously, if you're indifferent, if a Brahman is indifferent, he loses his qualification and piousness. It's like a policeman. He forgives a criminal, a killer walking down the street. He ceases to be a policeman anymore. If a Brahman sees all these bad things happening and he stays indifferent, he loses his qualification as well. We carry responsibility before our spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Следующий вопрос.
Next question.
Любовь Бухарова. А есть родственные души?
Are there some soulmates?
Преданного, что с духовного
I've
мира
heard from one
души
devotee
приходят
that
семьями.
the
Насколько это авторитетно?
sometimes souls, they came here like in big families. How much is it authoritative? So you think they just go down here, though the families, like kind of to have a vacation here, they go deep into the mind? I don't think it's right. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from Prabhupada. You know, our devotees, they make up so many things. If you, dear devotees, become leaders in a society, do not make things up. It's very important. The higher you elevate, so watch your mind. Do not make these things up. Well, if you're very creative, you know, that's okay, you can fantasize a little bit. If you don't have an influence on the society. But if you already have some influence on the society, be strict to yourself, control your mind. Do not make things up. that doesn't exist in Shastras. If you say something, show the link. It's not like someone says, I've heard someone. No, show the link. So probably somewhere it says that if you are here, that your family, your whole family is here as well. So I haven't heard of it. Thank you. Another question.
Матаджа Мадава Адиприя.
Mataji Madhava Adipriya.
Как не держаться за Майю, а выбирать Кришну?
How do I not hold on to the Maya but be close to Krishna? I am so attached to the material things. I cannot let it go because I cannot choose Krishna in my mind. Well, this is not the best tree that you're holding on to. You have to see something more precious. So Prabhupada would give us an example of a So Prabhupada would give us an example of a scooter, right? That you use like just like with the feet, not with the pedals. And there's a car like Bentley. Someone tells you, "Give me a scooter." You say, "No, I'm giving it to you," like a kick scooter. Then someone says, "You can take this Bentley and give me a scooter." Of course, you get rid of your scooter immediately. You take the car without even looking back. So this is Krishna's consciousness. Don't think that you are offered something worse and you have to leave something behind. But in this life, something that holds us here, this kick scooter, but we are offered Bentley.
Можно ли гордиться тем, что ты преданный?
Can we be proud of being a devotee, and how do we define a pure devotee? Well, you can be proud, but just a little bit. If you're proud of being a devotee, so today you're proud because you've done something good, you've spent your day in a high level, you're being proud of being a devotee. That means that tomorrow you're going to Mangalarati as well. That's how you regulate your pride. Follow sadhana bhakti. Of course, if you're proud, yes, there will be something like that. Usual things that we've accumulated during all these years, you just follow sadhana. Keep following your sadhana. Well, you'll be praised, continue practicing. You'll be criticized, continue practicing. In a society of devotees, it's always like that. If you're too proud, no one's gonna like it. The pride here is not accepted. If you're too proud, no one's gonna love you. You will not feel this love. Even if you do some big things, you'll be criticized. This is the society of devotees, of Vaishnavas. But if you do something without pride, they will feel this bhakti. You will feel this bhakti. In this sense, devotees, they do not envy in the spiritual sense. Here, people love Krishna. If you do something for Krishna, it will be appreciated. So stay in the society of Vaishnavas.
Следующий вопрос.
Next question.
Лена Немцова. Отличается ли джапа инициированного от неинициированного?
Is japa of initiated devotee different from an uninitiated devotee? Yes, it's going to be easier for you after you get initiated and more natural. You know, there's one thing. In a material conditioned state, anything they do, you do it for the show off. That's how it works. In the material world, we dress up. Who from? We behave like this for someone else. We don't live for ourselves. We are totally engaged in the thoughts of how I look right now, what I do, what people think of me. So we're very interested in being glorified by the others. So we try to do things just to show off. Same thing with japa. So we do it according to a habit, just to show off. When you get initiated, you can do it on a deeper level, with the purpose of self-realization.
Матаджи Махабхакти.
So Mataji
Почему,
Mahabhakti.
имея трансцендентные знания, вайшнавы впадают в депрессию, забывая все радости?
So why do Vaishnavas
Что они получили
sometimes
в обществе, где столько
fall down
вдохновения?
into depression, even being this transcendental consciousness? Well, things happen because of Kali Yuga. Material nature has vast resources. Don't think that if you're advanced spiritually, Maya is left behind. No, it's advanced together with us. Sometimes we grow spiritual and our false ego is growing together with it. Maya can be on any level. Even if you take into sannyasa, Maya will be there for you as well. Even if you become a spiritual master, it's also there. While you are in this material world, Maya will be standing right next to you. Don't think, sometimes advanced devotees, they could be disappointed as well. Prabhupada sometimes would get disappointed as well. Remember what Jesus said, "So God, please carry this cup past me." He was still hoping that he wouldn't have to do everything that he had done. But there's God's will for everything. Don't think that it comes so cheaply. This is all a serious thing. If you want to deliver yourself from these limits of material existence, that's a serious thing. You have to make an effort.
Евгений Постников.
Another question. Control of mind and senses practically means that I see what the mind and sentence drive me to, but I don't pay attention to that and I do it my way. When you say do it my way, you have to do it accordingly to the instructions of your spiritual master. That's not a control if you just do it, if you just do whatever you think is the right thing to do. Control means the control of the spiritual energy, according to Shastras and your Guru and Sadhu. Shastras, spiritual scriptures, spiritual master, this is the fundament. That's the control. Another question. God gives us the opportunity to go to God through Vedas. So by listening to these lectures and reading books, this all seems to be natural to me, native to me. But when I communicate with the devotees, I get tired. It feels like I'm in another country. Why do I get this feeling? I mean, why do you feel detached from devotees? Well, probably because you anticipate something from devotees that they cannot give you. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe you expect these devotees to give you something pure spiritual, some enlightenment probably. You anticipate something from them. And if you don't get these things, you just get disappointed. But let me give you one advice, piece of advice. Do not anticipate anything, just serve to Vaishnavas. Set your mind to serving. And then you will feel how Kṛṣṇa manifestates. If you're in service, if you engage yourself in service, Kṛṣṇa will be satisfied and you'll feel comfortable in Krishna's consciousness just through serving. Just don't anticipate any things, because you might not get these things. So some questions in Zoom or YouTube as well. Can we proceed? Yes. Vrajamani Prabhu.
У меня вопрос такой. В книгах мы часто читали, что
So in
душа,
books,
она
we've read that soul is Satchitananda.
недавно услышал мнение от одного
So recently, I've heard an opinion of a senior devotee that Chit and Ananda
в духовном мире.
are given to us in the spiritual
В
world,
материальном мире душа, она в потенциале
but only
сад,
in material
а выдадут
world
Чит и Ананду
a soul
там,
becomes
потом, на
Sat,
Вайкунтхе или где-нибудь выше. Какой вот у
then
вас
Ananda is given in
опыт?
Vaikuntha. So what is your practical experience in this?
Этот вопрос ты уже задавал, Раджимани Прабhu.
You've already asked me this question,
Я точно
Vajramani
отвечал на
Prabhu.
этот вопрос.
Yes, I've already answered this question.
Точно
Я
помню.
хотел задать, наверное.
I've always
Я
wanted to ask
ждал именно
this
вот
question, but I was waiting
эту лекцию давать. Я хотел задать этот вопрос.
for you to give this
Ну вот я
lecture.
уже слышал, даже говорил на эту тему.
I've already talked about
Выдается
this topic.
Сачитананду в разных местах.
So Satchitananda is given in different places.
Пункт выдачи сад,
So there's only one,
пункт выдачи чит.
station. One is for Sat, another one is for Chit.
Нет Сачитананды.
There's no Satchitananda, philosophically speaking. There's an energy of Chit, and it encompasses everything. You cannot separate it. It's inseparable, indivisible. These are the aspects of like the sun. The sun is like a disk and light, the way we perceive it. And also the soul, it has different aspects, Satchitananda. When we understand soul, first we understand the Chit. Or the Sat, I'm sorry, the Sat always exists. But when you have this realization, this is called Chit already. There's no Chit without realization of the eternity. And it also encompasses Ananda and Sat. So we only develop Chit. From this point of view, we do it through the knowledge. And then we understand the consciousness itself. So from what I've understood, potentially it is there, but we're going through Chit, but there's also Sat and bliss and Chit. I can agree that fully Chit is manifested when you're fully conscious. To some extent, it's manifested when I understand my existence. But the capabilities of consciousness are unlimited.
Следующий вопрос. Матаджи Навакишвари.
So next question.
Харе Кришна, мои поклоны, дорогие преданные. А вот, знаете, это...
So Hare Krishna, please accept my obeisances, dear devotees. Chaitanya Chantran. So there are some devotees that have left Krishna's consciousness and that I would meet back in the time during programs and we would communicate. And I've recently met Mataji that would, whose husband would teach Tsegun, Qigong in the past. And they didn't seem to have any problems back in the past. What am I to tell them to get them back into our movement? What do you think? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, he once said, don't get surprised that someone is living Krishna's consciousness. Be surprised when someone stays in Krishna's consciousness. So there was an episode in my life. One devotee has joined us. He was a good brahmachari. He would go to India, spread books. There are some people that always smile. He would chant mantra, and every time I saw him, he told me some good things, always smiling, kind person. But he's always left. He's also left our movement. He's disappeared. And some years, I would ask other devotees, like, has anyone seen this devotee? Someone said, he's got a family, he works somewhere. Probably he doesn't practice anymore. And I asked, where does he work? Oh, just in the street market in St. Petersburg. Then I've learned about it. And suddenly I was there on that market not because of him.
Я искал там овощи.
I was looking for some
Ходил овощей, и
vegetables.
смотрю,
And then
преданный
I
стоит,
saw him, this
улыбается,
devotee,
меня увидел меня
standing
издалека
there,
и
smiling to
стоит.
me.
Точно такой же.
I saw his smiling, his shining
Я
smile.
так обрадовался,
I
помню.
get so
И
happy.
вот эта радость встречи,
So
она
this
сыграла
happiness
роль,
of
я не знаю, что
meeting,
случилось,
it has
что.
played its role.
Вот эта моя спонтанная радость,
But this
а
my
по ней
spontaneous
стать,
happiness.
вообще,
So
как
we
так,
hugged each other.
ты не видел,
And I
как
said,
я
well, I
рад
haven't
тебя
seen you in
видеть,
such a
что
long
девочка.
time. What happened to you?
И он говорит, вот торгую
He said, you see, I'm just
тыквами, говорит,
selling
овощами,
pumpkins here,
выращиваю.
some vegetables. I grow
А
vegetables.
вы, говорит, что
And what about you?
делаете? Я говорю,
What have you been
проповедую.
doing?
Как?
You know,
До сих
I
пор?
preach. He said,
Я
what?
говорю, ну да,
Still?
говорю, но у меня нет другого занятия.
Well, I said, yes, there's no other business that I have. And he was shocked a little bit.
Говорит, возьмите
So he took
полтыквы,
half of a pumpkin and he said,
И
take it.
через несколько дней пришел на программу.
And in some days, he came back to our program
Просто была, ну, какая-то добрая встреча. Я думаю,
and
может
he,
быть, не хватает.
he got restored.
Ну,
See, it was a personal meeting.
ослаб
It was a
человек, но
face-to-face
всё равно отношения добрые должны оставаться.
meet.
Я думаю, все равно же отношения должны уже оставаться.
You see, we still have to
Один
support our
преданный
relationships. That's the
ученик
point.
Прабхупады, он принял саньясу, молодец.
So one disciple of Prabhupada,
Ну,
he took to
многие
sannyasa.
хотели, когда Прабхупада
A
пришел,
lot of
многие
people
хотели
back
сразу
then,
предаться,
they
принимать
always wanted to
саньясу,
be sannyasa,
монашество.
to be
И он
monks.
принял саньясу, а потом
So he took to sannyasa.
какое-то короткое время он
And then in
женился,
some time, he got
что
married,
недопустимо для саньясы, это падение.
which was not actually
Серьезный шаг,
acceptable for
провал.
sannyasins.
Да,
There was like a fall.
Все, конец. И Прабхупаде сказали, что
So
сейчас
Prabhupada
изменился
has
этот
been told about it.
ученик, сейчас
He's been told that this devotee has been changed. He even looked another way. And this disciple,
были такие вот
in some time, he
шорты,
came to Prabhupada,
вид совсем такой,
wearing long hair, some shorts,
да, такой человек
very karmic.
после саньяса.
After sannyasa, he
Он
was looking
пришел
different.
и
So he
упал в
came
ноги
up to
Прабхупаде
Prabhupada
и
and
сказал: Прабхупада,
he fell on
я вообще, говорит, ваш
to the feet of Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada,
так и так.
I'm still your disciple,
Я
and my
принял
name
саньясу,
is
потом
this
я
and
отказался
that.
от саньясы.
I've taken
Я
to
женился,
sannyasa, then I've
сейчас
renounced it. Now I'm a married
я мало что могу
man,
делать для движения.
and I
Скажите,
virtually did not do anything for the movement. Tell me, will you renounce me?
ученики все смотрят, что
It was a
было
quietness.
как-то, знаете, проникновенно. Человек на самом деле сильно переживал вот эти
This
отношения
person, he was
с
really
Прабхупадой, очень дорого.
worried,
Но у него была неудача.
but you see, he failed.
Как он несется, как
So
для него самый дорогой
what's
человек.
Prabhupada going to say right now?
Прабхупада на него посмотрел и
So
сказал:
Prabhupada looked at him,
скажи мне,
and
как
he
я
said,
могу тебя отвергнуть? Ты столько сделал для
how
меня.
can I renounce you?
Он стал перечислять
You've done so many things for me.
книги.
You would do this and that. You spread books. You were preaching. Took to sannyasa. You were helping me here and there. How can I renounce you?
И Прабхупада у него слезы на глазах. Этот человек стал
How
рыдать.
can I reject you? And this person, he
Он
started,
понял, что это в духовной жизни
crying.
движения не
he
существует.
understood that there's no rejection in the spiritual life.
Всё равно будет ждать.
Guru will always wait for his
Нет
disciple.
разводов, понимаете, в духовной.
There are no divorces in the spiritual
В
world.
материальном мире придумано.
These are the things existing in the material world.
С духовным учителем.
You see, that's an episode that has happened to
Поэтому,
a
да,
spiritual
бывает,
master.
что человек где-то оступился,
Sometimes it
где-то
happens.
ошибся, но
Sometimes
помним,
we all fall,
всё хорошее.
but we still remember all good things about this person.
Рады.
We are all happy
Спасибо огромное.
for
А
this
вот что
person.
тут можно, что им можно еще сказать вот таким людям?
What else can I tell to these people?
Обрадоваться, дать просад.
Just,
Ничего такого
you know,
особенного
just
говорить.
Вот просад надо брать.
show them that
Вчера
you are
Прабхупада
happy to
сказал,
see
надо
them. Give them some
чупа-чупс
prasadam.
предложить, чупа-чупс раздавать.
Even chupa chups. Give them chupa chups.
Шарики катай на санкиртану какие-нибудь.
You know, make some those bowls,
Делать это.
sweet
Ага,
bowls.
спасибо огромное.
Yes, I'll be doing it. Thank you so
А,
much.
а можно разве вот сейчас же это пандемия вдруг
Now, during
там
pandemic,
Лолита Говинда Прабху боится
what if
пойти
something
против,
doesn't work out?
чиновникам,
Шарик
Да.
посадит.
да, сжать.
Yeah. You have to be careful.
Ну, всем не раздавай в подряд демонстративно. Вот в таких только случаях там.
А,
И по сторонам смотри, там, где милиция.
Well, just watch out for
да,
the
точно.
police, you know, and be careful. But yeah, spread prasadam.
Следующий вопрос.
Another question.
Калпава Рикша. Как не находиться в состоянии претензии, когда нужно выполнять и свои, и не свои обязанности по поддержанию семьи?
So,
Да,
I have
будут
to
претензии, конечно же, на каждом шагу.
implement my responsibilities here and there, and sometimes I criticize my life. Well, you have to understand that this is the school of like humbleness. You have to be humble, you have to be patient. You will have to go through a lot of different things. There will be a lot of objections in your life. That's the school. That's the school of life. You have to be patient and chant your mantra attentively. So if I feel some objections, I just go somewhere, I take my japa with me and chant for half an hour, and then everything gets normalized.
Следующий вопрос. Ник Иванов.
The next
Скажите,
question.
пожалуйста, можно ли избавиться от ложного эго вне общества преданных?
Can I get rid of the false ego without communicating with devotees or without kirtanas? Well, first you have to understand what false ego is. You can't avoid it. It's a closed space. You can't get out of there. Well, if you push at one spot, it will enlarge in another place. Just like a closed cycle. You're in capsule, in a box. There's no way out of it if you want to do it individually, like independently. You'll be just looking for a place that feels easier for you.
Можно ли получить посвящение от старших преданных?
Can I get initiation from senior devotees? This should be authoritative. Please pay very close attention to that. It's not like you like someone. A person should be accepted in this role by seniors, equals, and juniors. So you have to be accepted both by seniors and equals. Only then this person can carry this official role.
Александр.
Alexander?
Я понял ваши слова, что гуру надо принимать, когда человек устал господствовать и наслаждаться.
Should I accept Guru when I am tired of lording it over? Have I understood it correctly? Well, yes, when you're disappointed in this material life, it's good for your spiritual practice. But of course, we don't anticipate him to be fully conscious of Maya. Person that understands that this material life is full of miseries, yeah, that's the right time. If a person does not realize that this world is full of miseries, he's not a good candidate. He still is looking for some senseless gratification.
Как избавиться от критики ума?
So how get rid of the critics of my mind? It will take some time. If you are a very determined person, according to nature, maybe you will get over it sometime. If you're not so determined, maybe 5 years to differentiate between critics and a positive mind. 5 years of good chanting. If you're just an ordinary person, without possessing this natural determination, will take you 15-20 years. No guarantees are given. You have to be determined anyways. It depends on you. Someone can do it in just half a year. I know people that live with this critical mind. They've been living like this for more than 40 years, then still can't fight it. can overcome it. But the major reason is that this person does not want to chant the holy names. He has set up his own borders. He stays in the society, but he's not advancing. Why? He's making excuses. No one is in your way of approaching God. There are no obstacles on this path. The road is open.
Следующий вопрос.
Next question.
Любовь Бухарова. В чем заключается золотая вставка? И знал ли Христос и
What's about this golden age? And did Jesus know about it when he was making his forecast? I don't know if Jesus has told about it, but in Christian preachers, I was told about it by Christians, so I'm not sure if it's all true, but even before Kṛṣṇa consciousness, I read about it. So in some sources, Christian sources, some preachings, prophecies, it was said that Satana would be, the devil would be locked for 10,000 years. I don't know any more details. And there are some myths and ancient legends saying that this time will come. So this golden age is not actually from Prabhupada's books. People had heard it even before this. They had heard that the golden age would come. Rarik as well, looking for Shambhala, remember? So they've heard about the golden age, that this is all possible. And I've heard it from some Christian sources, and it was said that Gaudiya Vaishnavas will do that. So this will be like enlightening from east to west. From east to west again. So we're living in this age, the transferring age. So this knowledge is practically spread all over the world already, and it's entering the society officially. In the 90s, we were just giving some seminars. It was not part of our culture, but now, so we have a strong root already. We can see that this is a part of our culture. Just like they would say in St. Petersburg. That's interesting that people say, who are these people? And someone else will say, don't you know these people? They're ours. Hare Krishna. And on the fourth Ratha Yatra, couples that were about to get married, they would visit Ratha Yatras, they would attend it. They would take some pictures, of course. Our neighbors living next to our apartment, they were afraid of us. They knew that we would wake up very early. In the morning, we wouldn't communicate with each other. They were afraid of us. But then there was Ratha Yatra. We couldn't even preach to them because they were so ignorant. They weren't interested in anything. And then there was Ratha Yatra, and we told them that there will be a whole day of Ratha Yatra. We invite you. And they asked us, what's going to happen there? What it's going to be like? So we told them, that if you drag the rope of this chariot, your karma will be burnt. And when they were dragging this rope. They were so enthusiastic. They said, drag it, drag it. You know, people like that. Very simple. We told them, if you do this, your karma will be burned, and they believe in it. No sins anymore left. Okay, last question for today, please.
Последний вопрос. Уже началась золотая вставка, Евгений.
So the golden age has already
Но у
begun,
меня нет никаких желаний читать
but
книги Шрилы
I don't have
Прабхупады.
any desire to read Srila Prabhupada's books. How do I attract my mind to it? Eat prasadam. Not everybody can read books, especially in our time. The modern culture, it's so different for people to read books, more and more difficult to concentrate your mind, because the internet is taking everything. You just watch, a short video and you understand everything. Bible for children, everything is adapted. Bhagavad Gita for children, Mahabharata for children as well, shortened. Otherwise, no one will read it. Back in time, the way we read spiritual books, you just open up one page, you read one page, then you leave it, and you think about it, you contemplate on it. Then you come back to this book, you read another page, you contemplate on it. That's how we used to read it. Now, one page after another, it's happening so fast, we think that everything is clear. So that's why Prabhupada wanted people to have some pictures in his books. You open up a book and there are some pictures, like, wow, this is so cool. So yeah, I like this book. So internet, of course, is also helping us. We create some short videos right now, excerpts from my lectures, and once devotees has filmed a short video, and we said there why scholars are wrong, half in 1 minute and a half. There were like hundreds of comments in there because of the title, Why Scholars Are Wrong. If you want to spread Krishna's consciousness, prasadam. Most of the people, they don't need philosophy, just prasadam. They just need to get mercy. And then they eventually will start reading books. It will happen naturally if they get this mercy, this contact. Okay, so we will finish here. So I wish everyone to have a successful marathon. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.